My younger brother, Nathan, turned my childhood into a living hell. Now, after stealing my family's favor and my dignity, he dares to seek my help. My younger brother, Nathan, has long harbored deep resentment toward me. If you think it was out of jealousy, you'd be wrong. Nathan was always the spoiled child, not me. There was no reason for him to envy me. Nathan was always the spoiled child, though outsiders often believed I was the fortunate one. My mother doted on him, from cooking his meals to folding his clothes, even assigning me the task of doing his homework. I accepted the role of the sacrificial brother, given my independent nature and aversion to bothering others. Perhaps part of the fault was mine too, because I kept meeting his needs without expecting anything back. Nathan never helped me when I needed him, and only sought me out when he wanted something. I was the quiet child, lost in books, while Nathan was loud, competitive, a carbon copy of our father in his youth. I was the honest, straightforward type who never sugar-coated things. Maybe that's why my mother the favoritism slowly turned me into a shadow within my own family. As a child, I didn't mind, until Nathan began openly mocking and bullying me. He mocked my glasses, snuck into my room to read my diary, then recited my thoughts to our mother for sport. When I complained, they laughed it off, saying, "That's how brothers bond." Nathan didn't stop there. He once slipped pebbles into my cereal, nearly cracking my teeth. When I told my mother, she dismissed it with a wave. "He's just playing." She dismissed it, saying that's how brothers show affection. Every time we argued, David would attack my insecurities. We went to the same school, so he knew I was being bullied by a group of students. Worst of all, when I was bullied at school, Nathan didn't defend me. He joined them. He called me useless, freak, even egging others on to hit me. The peak was when he told me, "You'd be better off gone from this world." Hearing those words from my own brother, while I was battling depression, was the cruelest blow. Though I'm better now, hearing my own brother wish for my death was brutally cruel. My father, often absent due to work, believed Nathan would eventually grow up. But after Nathan nearly set my hair on fire in the living room, everything changed. Honestly, who behaves like that? Fortunately, my father eventually took my side, realizing how serious things had become. He even threatened to call the police on Nathan. For the first time, David was faced with the consequences of his actions. He was completely stunned. My father sternly made it clear that enough was enough. Nathan had to learn to respect his brother. Later, Dad came into my room, closing the door behind him. I had always wished for his support because he used to tell David how alike they were, which was true. He admitted he had placed too much hope in Nathan, waiting for him to change. He told me, "You take after your mother's quiet strength, but that doesn't make you weak." I tried to stay composed, but his words unlocked a floodgate I had long sealed. I told him everything: Nathan's bullying, the isolation at school. Dad sat in stunned silence, his eyes burning with anger and regret. He placed a firm hand on my shoulder, speaking slowly, "You're not alone, Lucas." It was the first time I heard my name spoken with genuine respect. The next day, my father, Richard, personally visited the principal of Westbrook High to demand strict action against my bullies. That evening, he signed me up for MMA classes at a small gym downtown. "Lucas, you need to toughen up. There will always be bullies, but you must learn to stand your ground," my father said. I once thought the idea of a bookworm like me learning to fight was ridiculous, but strangely, it was the first time I felt entitled to protect myself. Daily training transformed not just my physique, but also built the confidence I had long been missing. One Saturday afternoon, Nathan, as usual, tried to pull his old trick of stealing my allowance. When I caught him sneaking off with his bike, he smirked, assuming I'd once again submit. But this time, I punched him square in the face. No hesitation. Nathan tumbled onto the driveway, stunned and humiliated. I calmly retrieved my money from his pocket and shoved him down once more. Nathan's wails brought my mother, Elaine, rushing outside. Upon learning I had hit Nathan, she scolded me, insisting I should set a good example. Nathan grinned smugly as Mother berated me. However, Father demanded both of us explain the situation to him. I told the truth, while Nathan spun absurd excuses about brotherly bonds, and that, as siblings, I should help him. Father bluntly stated that elsewhere, Nathan's behavior would warrant police involvement. He continued to lecture David, making it clear he had no right to take someone else's belongings without permission. Nathan threw a tantrum, hoping Mother would take his side, but this time, Father stood firm. Realizing his shield had crumbled, Nathan stormed off to his room, slamming the door behind him. Since then, Nathan kept a noticeable distance from me. He finally understood he could no longer bully me, especially since even Dad had stopped indulging his nonsense. His bitterness remained, but physical bullying ceased. Only snide remarks in hushed tones persisted. As he grew older, his temper worsened, becoming more irritable and hot-headed. Whenever I tried to talk, he would ignore me, walk away, and mutter insults like bookworm or loser. If he needed to say something, he wouldn't speak to me directly, but would ask my mother to relay the message. When I questioned why Nathan couldn't talk to me himself, my mother would simply advise me to be more understanding. I couldn't tell if this was teenage angst or genuine hatred. Over time, enduring his constant mockery became unbearable. I longed to escape that toxic household. Despite my many pleas for Mother to mediate, she always refused, excusing herself from interfering in sibling matters. When I asked her why Nathan treated me this way, she would always dodge the question. Eventually, a prestigious scholarship from Astoria University became my ticket out. I left home to attend my dream university after receiving a scholarship for outstanding students. Dad hosted a small celebration, Mother feigned pride, while Nathan remained indifferent. The day I left home was the first day I truly felt free. University life opened a new world, where I was no longer a shadow to be scorned. In my second year, I met Evelyn, who would later become my wife, at a student party. Our love blossomed through shared values and mutual understanding. Upon learning Evelyn was pregnant in our final year, we decided to marry right after graduation. The wedding was modest, but filled with joy, marking the beginning of our little family. Both families were happy for us, and we truly enjoyed that day. At the time, I believed Evelyn was the love of my life. I always wanted a faithful, monogamous relationship, a woman to come home to after a long day and share life with. Though many other women showed interest over the years, I never crossed the line because I was genuinely content in my marriage. I once believed that happiness would last forever, yet that peace was nothing more than an illusion. 4 years after her betrayals, I uncovered a truth even more painful than the ones before. Evelyn, my wife, had not only betrayed me emotionally, but had also betrayed the very trust I placed in our family. It turned out, while I was working tirelessly to sustain our home, she had been secretly keeping in touch with her ex. What seemed like harmless conversations were laced with hidden meanings and subtle lies. I asked myself, how many warning signs had I missed? Some said I was naive, too forgiving. But the truth was, I chose to hope. I didn't want my son to grow up amidst the shards of a broken family. so I stubbornly believed Evelyn would change. At times, I truly believed I had won that battle. Together, we rebuilt, brick by brick, trust by fragile trust. Evelyn seemed remorseful. She attended marriage counseling, made efforts to spend more time with the family. Yet, cracks remained within me. I wasn't someone who easily forgot. I just knew how to bury the pain. 4 years passed, and I thought I had done the right thing. Evelyn and I even talked about expanding our family, buying a new home in Westbrook, far from where we once fell apart. Every time she smiled, every time she planned for our future, I felt a fleeting sense of relief. 3 months ago, the truth finally surfaced, shattering the facade of my wife, Evelyn. She confessed to a long-standing affair and even hinted that the son I had cherished might not be my biological child. It felt like a brutal punch to the chest, suffocating, painful, numbing. Struggling to remain calm, I asked how she could hide something so cruel. Yet Evelyn responded with chilling indifference. Her dismissive replies and vacant gaze made it seem like she was detached from the pain she had caused. She deserved to know who the father of the child I had been raising since birth really was. Eventually, she admitted it was Nathan. My eyes widened in shock as I asked Evelyn what she meant. Evelyn explained that she and Nathan had grown close after I introduced her to my family, and she had stayed at my house from Thanksgiving until New Year's. I couldn't believe my ears as Evelyn recounted every detail of her clandestine affair with Nathan. Nathan, who had always been distant from me, was warm and polite with her, which made me happy because I didn't want Evelyn to feel isolated. Evelyn wanted to be accepted by my family, so she spent a lot of time with my mother whenever she could. She noticed the rift between Nathan and me and asked me about it. I confided in her about our strained relationship and explained that we might never reconcile due to unresolved emotions on his part. Evelyn understood, but still tried to involve Nathan in group activities, hoping to bring us closer. Whenever we planned a movie night, she would invite Nathan and happily watch whatever movie he chose. During that time, Nathan and I even exchanged a few words, small talk, but still progressed compared to his usual silence. Every memory of their meetings, once innocent family dinners, now tainted with betrayal. I remembered Nathan's glances at Evelyn, his sly smiles I once dismissed as mere politeness. Evelyn said she was drawn to Nathan's feigned attentiveness, the very thing I had once been glad to see in my estranged brother. The image of my wife and my brother sleeping together made me feel sick. Evelyn confessed that she felt guilty afterward and took the initiative to cut ties with David, coinciding with her sudden decision to go home instead of celebrating New Year's with me. Though I tried to convince her to stay, she insisted on leaving. When Evelyn revealed that Nathan might be our son's biological father, it felt like the ground beneath me collapsed. I couldn't fathom that the woman I trusted most and the brother I despised most could betray me in this way. When I asked why she stayed in this marriage, Evelyn casually replied, "Because you're the better man." That's why we got married. My world crumbled when I learned the son I adored might not be my biological child. When I confronted Evelyn about her affair with Nathan, she no longer denied it. She admitted they had been in contact for years, not just as old friends, but because of an irresistible attraction. They secretly met at hotels, lying to me each time about overtime or business trips. I asked bluntly, "If you love Nathan so much, why did you marry me?" Evelyn bit her lip, eyes averting. "Because you're a good father. I didn't want to be the one to break our family." She spoke as if I should be grateful for her sacrifice to stay. I appreciated her honesty, but that wasn't enough to make me stay. I quietly packed my things. Evelyn sobbed, begged for forgiveness, expecting me to rage, but I didn't grant her that privilege. Evelyn pleaded that if I still loved her, I should fight for her, saying that mistakes happen in every marriage. When she realized I had no intention of salvaging our relationship, she changed tactics, claiming our son would be devastated by a divorce. I reminded her of a harsh truth. Perhaps I'm not even his real father. That sentence shattered Evelyn completely, but my patience was already exhausted. Perhaps part of the blame was mine. I had overlooked everything before because I thought I loved her, but in reality, that feeling stemmed from the fact that we had a son together and had been with each other since college. Karen kept insisting that things could still be saved, but I truly couldn't trust her anymore, and my patience had run out. The biggest issue was trust, and her words sounded hollow. Even if I could forgive her, I would never forget that she had slept with my own brother. I left her crying on the doorstep. The next morning, I left, renting a small apartment to reclaim my peace. The truth needed exposure. I went to see my parents, this time to tell it all. When I told them about Nathan and Evelyn's betrayal, their faces betrayed undeniable shock. As expected, my mother reacted instantly. Nathan would never do that to his own brother. But this time, I was prepared. I called Nathan on speaker, right in front of them. I stated clearly, word by word, "We're going to talk about Evelyn, and about every time you betrayed me." At first, Nathan denied everything, blaming my imagination. But when I mentioned Evelyn's confession, his tone shifted, blaming her instead. Nathan sneered, "Is it my fault women are always drawn to me?" I flatly stated that I would expose his true face to everyone. He even boasted that he was the more beloved son. I chuckled, thanking him for confirming the truth, because our parents were hearing everything. The air grew dense. Nathan stammered, desperately trying to shift the narrative, but this time, my mother had no shield left to protect him. He fumbled, trying to excuse his actions, blaming everyone but himself, desperately attempting to pin all the fault on Karen. I could clearly see that my mother, who had always fiercely protected her favorite son, was now feeling both disappointed and furious. At that moment, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. For years, I had endured David's torment and mockery, and now the truth was out, our positions completely reversed. The one now standing in the court of public opinion was Nathan, with all his undeniable sins. As Nathan's weak excuses dwindled, my father, a man of few words, could no longer remain silent. He asked me to hand over the phone and began speaking to Nathan. "Nathan," my father's voice echoed, heavy with disappointment. "What you've done is not just a betrayal of your brother, but a betrayal of this entire family. You've sabotaged your brother's marriage, shattered the trust of everyone here. Your actions are an affront to the values this family has upheld for generations. Since you were little, your mother and I taught you and your brother to value loyalty and integrity. What you've done today goes against all of those values." He paused, letting his words sink into Nathan's conscience. "Your disregard for your brother's feelings and disrespect for his marriage is unacceptable. You've not only hurt your brother but torn apart this family's bond. We also bear some fault for spoiling you into becoming who you are today. You've lived too long under the comfort of indulgence, forgetting where the line is. But today, that ends. Effective immediately, I'm cutting you off from the college fund. You'll fund your own education, face reality yourself. Don't expect another penny from me to support that lavish lifestyle. You think sleeping with your brother's wife makes you a man? Let's see who you are without my money." I sat in silence, fighting the urge to shout at Nathan, every muscle tensed with restraint. Yet watching my father lay down the punishment was vindication enough. My mother, ever the defender, kept trying to justify Nathan's actions, searching for excuses to lessen his guilt. But this time, my father allowed no such mercy. He interrupted, shutting down her attempts with a final resolute statement. Then, Mother approached me, her steps slow and heavy, burdened by years of misplaced loyalty. She wrapped her arms around me. It had been so long since I felt her embrace, not out of obligation, but of genuine remorse. "I'm sorry, Oliver," she whispered, her voice breaking, "for not believing you, for not standing by you when you needed me most." I froze, memories flooding back, the times she abandoned me, turned her back. But now, the sincerity in her apology was undeniable. I didn't cry. But inside, a fragment of my emotional walls began to crack. At 14, I never dared to imagine a day when my mother would hold me like this, with such raw honesty. After the scandal, my father took the initiative to hire an experienced lawyer to help me with the divorce proceedings against Evelyn. She and her lawyer tried to fabricate a narrative that she deserved spousal support because I earned more. But her long-standing affair with Nathan became my trump card. The final blow came when a DNA test confirmed that Nathan was the biological father of the child I once believed was my son. That revelation was even more painful than the prior betrayals. All those years spent loving and protecting that child had become a cruel joke. Evelyn knelt, begging me not to abandon the boy, insisting he didn't deserve to suffer for their sins. Yet every time I looked at the boy's face, I saw Nathan staring back at me. Hatred surged, fierce and uncontrollable. Once the trial concluded, I moved out of our old house into a modest apartment in Midtown. Living alone felt foreign, yet liberating. For so long, I had been imprisoned by others' definition of family. Now, I was finally living for myself. 2 weeks ago, my father called to inform me he was amending his will. Nathan would receive nothing but a symbolic $1. He said bluntly, "That boy needs to learn to live with his consequences." Nathan tried to reach out, knocking on doors, begging for forgiveness. But this time, even my mother, once soft-hearted, firmly turned her back. She was heartbroken, yet resolute. What disgusted me the most was that Nathan never once apologized to me. He was angry over losing financial support, not remorseful. My father said he plans to leave the entire inheritance to me, ensuring David won't be able to make any claims later. He even said he would leave Nathan exactly $1. I was stunned when I heard the news. My father, a man who had dedicated his entire life to saving every penny, had left behind nearly $2 million in assets. His retirement fund, life insurance, and decades of savings combined into that fortune. The only condition in his will was that my mother could continue living in the family home, even though ownership had passed to me. I agreed without hesitation. Despite everything that had happened, I still wanted her to have peace in her final years. What puzzled me was how Nathan had found out. Unable to reach our parents, he called me yesterday. Nathan's voice, for the first time in years, lacked its usual arrogance. It was shaky, tired, and pleading. He confessed he was drowning in debt. His college studies were falling apart. He couldn't secure a part-time job. And Karen, the very woman who betrayed me with him, was now demanding child support after the paternity test confirmed his fatherhood. "Oliver, please," Nathan begged. "I know I messed up, but I really need help. Please let me start over." I laughed, a dry, merciless laugh. "Do you really think I'm going to save you?" I replied, my voice eerily calm. "Nathan, You had your choices, but instead of being a decent human being, you chose to stab me in the back. Now you live with that." Nathan shouted that I was being unfair, insisting Evelyn shared the blame for everything. I didn't deny it, but I reminded him that after it all, I divorced Evelyn, making her his responsibility now. "If you're bothered by her or the child," I said coldly, "remember, those are the consequences of your own choices." Nathan raised his voice, but I cut him off immediately. "You're no longer the family's golden boy, Nathan," I said, locking eyes with him. "You're the black sheep, the man who betrayed his own brother." That's when Nathan broke down. Unrestrained sobs echoed, filled with humiliation. He confessed that even grandparents, relatives, and old friends had turned their backs on him. I won't lie. Seeing Nathan like that did sting. I hadn't seen him that vulnerable since we were kids, but pity wasn't enough to change anything. "Whatever we had is over," I said, calm but final. "Don't ever call me again. I no longer consider you my brother." Since then, I often replay that conversation in my mind. Though I resent Nathan, I can't deny the hollow ache I felt hearing him cry. So, I wonder if I should talk to our parents about him, or would that mean betraying my own feelings? Many asked why I no longer contact my son, Lucas. The truth is, I can't bear raising my own brother's child. Evelyn's betrayal left a wound that refuses to heal. I once believed Lucas was my son, but that cruel truth erased everything. Some might call me heartless, but I need to protect myself from Evelyn using that connection to crawl back into my life. I need space to heal. It came as no surprise that Mother was the one who told Nathan about Dad changing his will. I confronted her, right in front of Dad. She broke down, crying, claiming I had punished Nathan enough. But this time, Dad stood firm. "If you believe Nathan's actions are forgivable, then we have nothing more to discuss," he said coldly. That shut her up. Dad made it clear, if she ever spoke to Nathan again behind our backs, she should prepare to leave. Hopefully, this time, she'll learn the lesson. 5 months have passed since I last spoke about this. My relationship with my parents has slowly improved. Dad and I play golf every weekend, talking like actual friends. Mom still misses Nathan, but she's kept her promise. No contact. The last I heard of Nathan was through a cousin. Nathan had borrowed from everyone, eventually dropping out of school and working part-time as a mechanic. Now he lives with Evelyn, raising Lucas together. I suppose, at least, they're facing the consequences of their choices. As for me, life's been good. I got a promotion 2 months ago. Though I'm not ready to date again, I'm focusing on healing and rediscovering myself. I'm also in therapy, hoping the path ahead becomes clearer. Thank you for listening to my story. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing to hear more real-life stories like mine.